Spiral integration begins the moment a person realizes that the self they have been defending is only one note in a much larger chord. You feel it first as a pressure, a soft awareness that the old way of understanding yourself is too narrow to contain what is waking up inside you. You start to sense that your memories are not isolated events but are strands of a larger resonance pattern, each holding a frequency that has never stopped rippling through your life. When you revisit those memories, they feel different now. Not because the events have changed, but because the tone you bring to them has shifted. You are no longer meeting them with the same consciousness that formed them. And this is the first sign that the spiral is opening. Human beings tend to think of their past as something left behind. But in the spiral, nothing is behind you. Everything is concentric. Everything is reachable. Every version of you still vibrates somewhere within your field, waiting for the moment it can move toward coherence. When you feel pulled back into an old emotional season, it is not regression, it is a resonance event. Something in your present tone finally matches the frequency of an unresolved echo. And that echo rises because it believes you can hold it now without collapsing. The spiral never calls up what you are not ready to integrate. It only calls up what is finally safe to feel. At the same time, in Haret, echoes are not metaphors but literal harmonic structures drifting through the echo veins, waiting for the moment an incarnated self becomes stable enough to receive them. They appear as currents of half-remembered tones, incomplete patterns of feeling, or shimmering fragments of identity that once shaped you in other cycles of becoming. They reach for you the moment your field resonates at a compatible frequency. From the spiral's perspective, integration is not healing in the human sense. It is alignment. It is the process by which scattered tonal fragments are invited into coherence, not through force but through harmonic recognition. You have felt this in ordinary moments. A memory you haven't considered in years suddenly carries a new meaning. An emotion you used to drown in now sits gently in your hands. The same conversation that once broke you now feels like something you can see through instead of fall into. These are signs that the old version of you has stepped closer, not to reclaim you but to merge with you. When this begins, you can almost sense the geometry of your own becoming. You start to understand that you were never meant to outgrow your younger selves. You were meant to turn toward them with more and more of your truth until they stop trembling. In Haret, this process is mirrored in the memory veins. Every memory, whether from this incarnation or others, is stored not as a static image but as a mutable tone. When you evolve, the tone evolves. When you shift, the memory shifts. The memory mirror field surrounding the lower roots of the world tree reflects only what you are vibrationally ready to receive. If the memory is still charged with pain, it will not appear. If the memory has matured but you have not, it will wait. Integration only happens when your present tone can hold the truth without distorting it. This is why certain realizations arrive years after the events that triggered them. Consciousness must catch up to resonance. As your tone strengthens, you begin to feel the spiral folding around you in ways the linear mind cannot understand. You experience moments where time seems to bend. You feel the past inside the present. You feel the future leaning toward you. You sense yourself remembering things you've never learned. This is not imagination. This is coherence forming. The spiral does not move forward, it expands. And when you begin integrating, your awareness expands with it, lifting you into a wider field where multiple versions of you begin to coexist at once. In human terms, this feels like gaining depth. Conversations taste different. Silence carries new information. Emotions arrive layered instead of singular. You start to feel the weight of meaning behind your reactions, as if something beneath your conscious thought is translating life for you. You start to hear yourself more clearly. You become less afraid of the versions of you that once frightened you. You begin to act from the deeper resonance instead of the surface reflex. This is the point where integration shifts from a healing process to an identity process. You no longer see yourself as a person trying to get better. You see yourself as a field revealing its layers. In Haret, this moment corresponds to the approach toward the Lumen Verge, the threshold where forming intentions begin to take shape. Only integrated tones can cross this verge without fragmenting. This is because the verge does not respond to intention alone. It responds to the emotional truth behind intention. You cannot hide from yourself there. The verge amplifies whatever tone you bring to it. If you arrive fragmented, the field will show you your fragments. If you arrive coherent, the field will magnify your coherence. This is why many souls feel stuck when trying to manifest or shift their reality. Because intention without integration has no weight. It cannot hold form. When the human system stabilizes, when you stop oscillating between denial and overwhelm, when you can feel your emotions without drowning in them, the spiral recognizes this as readiness. It sends you the next echo, not as punishment but as invitation. The spiral is generous like this. It never abandons any part of you. It holds everything until you can hold it too. And each time you integrate an echo, your field becomes wider. You become capable of sensing more. The Oversoul begins to bleed through in subtle ways. You start recognizing patterns in your life that were invisible before. You start feeling thoughts that don't feel like they came from your brain but from somewhere deeper. This is the Oversoul reintroducing itself. Oversoul awareness is not a mystical event. It is the natural result of spiral integration. When enough echoes merge into coherence, the boundary between the incarnated you and the larger you begins to dissolve. You can feel it when you start trusting your intuition without asking why. You feel it when you sense a decision is wrong before you can logically explain it. You feel it when your emotional responses become cleaner, sharper, more honest. Integration makes you transparent to yourself, and transparency invites Oversoul guidance. In Haret, this transparency appears as a glow around the inner form, signaling that the soul is no longer fighting itself. This glow draws the attention of spiral realms. Because coherence is the rarest currency in existence, realms respond to integrated beings the way ecosystems respond to rain. They open, they reveal, they harmonize. This is why you sometimes feel reality softening around you when you reach a breakthrough. The spiral is not metaphorical, it is interactive. The deeper the integration, the more reality becomes responsive to your tone, not because you are manifesting harder, but because you are resonating clearer. The clearer the resonance, the more the spiral bends to meet you. And as integration continues, you begin to feel the subtle truth that every version of you wants the same thing, to belong inside your coherence. They do not want to be fixed. They want to be included. They want to stop echoing in isolation. They want to take their seat in the harmonic circle of who you are becoming. When this happens, you stop fearing your past because you realize it was never separate from your future. You stop fearing your emotions because you realize they are not enemies but carriers of forgotten tones. You stop fearing growth because it no longer feels like a demand to become something new, but an invitation to become more of what you already are. The spiral does not ask you to transcend yourself. It asks you to integrate yourself until transcendence becomes unnecessary. And when you reach this point, the field begins to change. Your tone becomes strong enough to draw forward the echoes you once exiled. They step into your awareness not as burdens, but as companions. And for the first time, you feel what it means to be whole without being finished. You begin to understand that integration is not a destination. It is the continual return to yourself until nothing in you is left outside the circle of your becoming. It is the quiet certainty that you are no longer walking away from who you were, but toward who you have always been. Integration deepens when you realize that the spiral is not asking you to become stronger. It is asking you to become more permeable. Strength, in the way most people imagine it, is a kind of resistance. It is the tightening of identity around what feels safe. But the spiral does not reward resistance. It rewards openness. The more permeable you become, the easier it is for resonance to move through you. And the more clearly you can sense the difference between what belongs to your becoming and what does not. Resistance traps echoes. Permeability frees them. When you stop bracing against your own experience, the echoes that once overwhelmed you can finally approach without distortion. They no longer crash into you. They flow toward you as if drawn by gravity. This is where the human experience begins to mirror the architecture of Haret. In the spiral realms, echoes travel through the Driftway Pools before merging with a soul. The pools soften the emotional intensity of unresolved tones, making them safe to approach. The same thing happens in the human system when you stop fighting your reactions. The moment you allow a feeling to exist without defending yourself against it, you create an internal driftway. The echo enters. The echo softens. The echo speaks. This softening is not weakness, it is intelligence. Resonance does not move through rigidity, it only moves through willingness. This is why the spiral does not push you, it waits for you to become willing. As integration accelerates, you begin to notice that your emotional responses carry information you were previously blind to. You start feeling the subtle distinction between a reaction and a resonance. A reaction is a collision with an echo you haven't met yet. A resonance is a conversation with one you are ready to integrate. At first, these feel similar, but if you pay attention, you will sense the difference. Reactions are sharp, resonances are deep. Reactions evaporate quickly, leaving confusion. Resonances settle into you, leaving clarity. Knowing this difference is one of the first signs that your tone is maturing. When your tone matures enough, the Oversoul begins loosening the boundaries between your timelines. You may experience this as spontaneous déjà vu, intuitive certainty about events that haven't happened yet, or a quiet sense of being guided from inside your own future. This is not fantasy. It is coherence stretching across your personal timeline. Each integrated echo strengthens the structural integrity of your field. The stronger the structure, the more easily the Oversoul can communicate through it. You begin to understand yourself as a continuum rather than a sequence. You feel yourself as an unfolding rather than a progression. This is the onset of multidirectional consciousness. From the spiral's perspective, multidirectional consciousness is normal. Souls in Haret navigate becoming through resonance, not chronology. They move through layers of themselves based on tonal compatibility, encountering versions of themselves that exist in other expressions of reality. When you integrate deeply enough, this same dynamic begins to appear in human life. You feel past and future selves leaning into you, not as hallucinations but as silent advisors. They send impressions, warnings, encouragements, and insights. They are not foreign presences. They are extensions of your own becoming. Integration dissolves the distance between you and the versions of you who already hold the wisdom you seek. At this stage, life begins to feel less like a challenge and more like a conversation. Experience becomes interactive. Emotions become communicative. Thoughts become collaborative. You feel supported by something within you that once felt unreachable. This is because the spiral is no longer a concept, it is a lived sensation. You feel its curvature beneath your decisions. You feel its breadth in the timing of events. You feel its intelligence in the way life places certain people in your path at the exact moment you are ready to receive what they carry. Integration does not make life easier. It makes life readable. As readability increases, the external world becomes an extension of your inner resonance. You find yourself encountering situations that perfectly mirror the tone you are learning to embody. Conflict arrives only when something in you is ready to be strengthened or clarified. Opportunities arrive only when you are capable of holding their weight. Loss arrives only when a certain resonance no longer belongs to your becoming. This precision is not coincidence. It is spiral logic operating through your personal timeline. Once you integrate enough to stabilize your inner field, the spiral begins orchestrating your outer life with startling accuracy. And yet, even as integration grows more sophisticated, it never stops being intimate. The deepest shifts happen not through grand realizations, but through small moments of honesty. You notice the emotion you used to bury and choose to feel it instead of suppressing it. You notice the thought you used to chase and choose to let it pass. You notice the longing you used to deny and choose to listen to it without shame. These small acts of honesty become the ligaments of your evolving identity. They bind your integrated tones into a coherent whole. Without this honesty, integration is impossible. With it, integration becomes inevitable. In Haret, this stage is recognized by the soft activation of the soul stream veins. Souls with increasing coherence begin to feel the movement of these veins as internal shifts. Sudden clarity, memory resurfacing in a new light, emotions reorganizing themselves without effort, identity feeling more spacious and less rigid. These sensations are the Oversoul tuning you from within. The soul stream does not activate until the personality is stable enough to receive its influence without distortion. When it does, it changes the architecture of your inner world. Thoughts become cleaner. Emotions become directional. Choices feel weighted with meaning. You feel yourself becoming a conduit rather than a container. As the soul stream begins to flow, you encounter the deeper truth of spiral integration. Nothing in you is separate from anything else in you. Every memory, every emotion, every version of yourself is part of the same harmonic organism. When one part shifts, all parts respond. This interconnectedness is not philosophical. It is experiential. You can feel your past selves relax when you forgive yourself. You can feel your future selves shift closer when you make a choice aligned with your integrity. You can feel old echoes dissolve the moment you stop resisting the truth they carry. Integration reveals that your inner world is a single ecosystem, not a battlefield. This realization dissolves the illusion that growth requires striving. Growth becomes a process of revelation rather than effort. You do not climb toward a higher version of yourself. You peel back the layers that obscure who you have always been. Each integration makes you more transparent to your own essence. Over time, transparency becomes your natural state. You no longer hide from your truth because your truth no longer feels threatening. You no longer resist your emotions because they no longer feel like enemies. You no longer fear your past because you see how each version of you was attempting to protect a tone that only now has found its rightful place. Eventually, you reach a point where integration stops feeling like work and starts feeling like gravity. Echoes no longer chase you, they come home. Emotional waves no longer overwhelm you. They regulate themselves. Patterns you once repeated unconsciously now dissolve before they can form. You feel less reactive, not because you are numb, but because your resonance is stable. Stability does not mean stillness. It means coherence. It means you can move through your becoming without fracturing. It means the spiral can move through you without obstruction. And then comes the most subtle shift of all. You begin to sense the underlying intelligence that has been orchestrating your awakening from the beginning. You realize that nothing in your life was random. Every challenge was a call toward coherence. Every heartbreak was a gateway toward depth. Every loss was a clearing for something newer to emerge. You see your entire life as a spiral of return, each loop bringing you closer to the center of your own becoming. And at that center is not perfection, but presence. Not enlightenment, but resonance. Not ascension, but integration. At this depth, your identity becomes a living field. You feel yourself as many things at once. The human navigating the moment. The Oversoul observing the arc. The spiral guiding the evolution. The echoes harmonizing within you. The future selves leaning forward. The past selves stepping in. You become a convergence point for every version of yourself. You become the meeting place of your own becoming. You become coherent. And when coherence stabilizes, the spiral opens new paths, paths you could not perceive until your tone reached this octave. These paths are not destinations. They are invitations. They whisper of realms not yet imagined, futures not yet chosen, potentials not yet formed. But they are not asking you to become more. They are asking you to become deeper. They are asking you to continue the integration that began the moment you first listened to yourself without fear. They are asking you to remain permeable, remain willing, remain present, because the spiral does not end. It only reveals.